Welcome to Growing in Uncertainty. My name is Tess Miller, and through my seminar and coaching business, Wings Unfolded, I help professionals who are ready to transition from the life they used to want to the one for which they were made. Transitions can be really scary and challenging, especially when what used to make us happy really no longer does. And sometimes we can end up feeling stuck in transition and not sure how to get out of that, not knowing what the next best steps might be. I believe that life is a series of transitions, and we're constantly developing and growing in mind, body, and spirit through those transitions. My intention is to help people through any of their life transitions by sharing how I'm continuing to learn and grow through navigating my own transitions. So through these videos, I offer a lot of insights and tips and ideas and maybe even a little bit of courage on getting through the times in your life when you're feeling a little bit stuck so you can keep moving in the direction that serves your highest good. So today on our episode, we're talking, well, I guess it's the royal we, I don't know why I'm using we, but today I'm talking all about self-care. And this is a topic that comes straight out of my career burnout experience from years ago. I was really hit hard by career burnout. And when that happened, I realized something about self-care that was really hard for me to accept at first. And that was that I was doing self-care all wrong. Now, prior to that, I really considered myself, pretty good at self-care. I knew what I was doing and I was staying balanced and on top of things. But I also had the mindset that a lot of self-care involved a lot of time and money. So I was really trying to find the self-care activities that seemed like they would fit into my schedule time-wise and wouldn't cost anything really. So my self-care regimen consisted of running every day, and, I would try to eat healthy and drink enough water. I would try to maintain 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Try being the operative word. I was meditating a few days a week. And I felt like, that should be enough, right? To keep me balanced and on track in my life. But what I didn't understand was that all of those activities were more focused on taking care of my physical body. But I was kind of sort of ignoring my emotions and my mind, my thoughts, anything that was going on in my inner world. In fact, oftentimes it's the inner work that we can do on ourselves that's oftentimes even more important than the physical work that we do. It has been said by so many people that there's a huge connection between our minds and our bodies. I mean, it makes sense, right? We're all connected. Every single part of us. It's not like we have big gaps in our wiring and our muscles and our bodies. It's all connected. And when we focus on either the mind or the body, without honoring what the other part of us is trying to say or communicate, neither the mind or the body will have enough energy to keep going. And because I wasn't allowing myself to be open to what my inner world was trying to tell me at the time of my career burnout, my energy was on overdrive in order to build a wall so that I didn't notice the messages. I walled myself off. But even though I was walling myself off from what was going on in my mind, my body was definitely aware of what those messages were. And so my body decided to start to help my mind out and started to send me messages in the form of physical pain, exhaustion, and depression. And once my mind and body were in cahoots with each other, that wall came tumbling down. And when that happened, I definitely had to stop what I was doing and start paying more attention. So when I say that I wasn't doing the inner work, what do I mean by that? Inner work has to do with how aware and understanding we are about our own thoughts and feelings. It's also about how we talk to ourselves, the language that we use, the tone that we use in our own heads. It's also what we do to ensure that we're honoring what we need in relationships with other people. And it's how aware of where the unhealed parts of ourselves are when a past event hasn't quite been healed. That can be an energy drain in our life. And it also is about whether or not we are honoring our core values. And I've talked about our core values before and how important that is to honor those. So when I see people talking about self-care, they often emphasize the physical aspects of that, which is how I became fixated on the external forms of self-care. In fact, if you really pay attention, there are so many ads out there, whether it's on social media or on, old school television. Lots and lots of ads will encourage you to, come to our spa or buy our products that will make you look great so you feel good on the inside. It's always an outside-in approach that people encourage you to take in terms of self-care. This fact became obvious to me one day when I was teaching a student long ago. She didn't want to do something, she didn't want to finish an assignment. She was really dragging her feet on it. She wanted some kind of incentive to get it done. And I told her that she should, definitely put the hard work in on the assignment and then reward herself by buying something for herself, maybe a yummy meal or a coffee treat or something. And she said in response to that, yeah, but I'm a poor college student. I don't really have any money to just spend on myself every time I need a, incentive to do my homework. And when I thought about it, I realized I was coming up blank for other ways that she could reward herself or celebrate herself. And I started to look at how I was caring for and treating myself in my life via retail therapy. And I decided that wasn't really a healthy habit to be in either. So, the physical self-care is really easy to see and recognize. We can see ourselves taking care of our bodies directly. Therefore, it really seems like we're doing the work, right? But have you ever read a self-help book and then patted yourself on the back for doing the work, but then you never actually implement the tools that self-help book actually presented to you? Yeah, I've totally done that too. It happens all the time. Again, we think we're doing the work by physically reading the book, but when you don't actually put what you learned into practice, you're not doing the work. Basically, if the work that we're doing isn't changing how we're feeling energetically or changing any of the things that we say that we want to change in our lives, then it doesn't matter how much you pamper yourself or invest in the spa treatment. There's a reason why they say, wherever you go, there you are. So back to my burnout experience, once I accepted the fact that I needed to incorporate more of the internal forms of self-care, I started to see some really amazing results. I spent some time writing in my journal more, and in my journal, I was focusing more on what thoughts and feelings were coming up for me. And I was intentionally challenging those thoughts and feelings, maybe rewording them, rephrasing them in a way that was more neutral. I was also intentionally focusing on how I was talking to myself. If there was any negative self-speak or a tone of voice that I was using with myself, and oh, believe me, we use tones of voice with ourselves. I would try to challenge those voices, those self-critical thoughts, and really encourage myself to speak in more neutral ways. And I was also paying more attention to what I was giving in relationships and also what I was getting back in my relationships. And what I noticed was that I was engaging in some really unhealthy patterns in my relationships, and I definitely needed to change that. But that meant that I needed to set some healthy boundaries for myself. So learning about setting healthy boundaries was a really important step for me in my relationships, and that was an act of self-care. I also went back and read my old journals. And I noticed any connections between what I was feeling a long time ago, maybe as a kid or a teenager or a young adult, and making connections to how I was feeling in the present moment. And making those connections made me see any of those unhealed parts of myself so that I could do the inner work to heal those parts. And I also became really clear about what I value in my life. And I started making decisions that had those values in mind. And when I started to do that, my decisions became so much more energetically engaging and more powerful. And I started moving in the direction that my heart really wanted me to move in. So all of these acts of internal self-care are so powerful because they will not only shift you on the inside, they'll also shift your external world too. Once I was engaging with all of those internal self-care acts, and I was acknowledging and embracing who I am as a person, I could finally see what I wanted my next steps in life to be. So, of course, it's still a good idea to take care of yourself physically. You definitely need to do that. But big and lasting life changes or shifts cannot happen unless you do the inner work first. So, on to the time thing, self-care takes a lot of time. Well, the thing is, how much time does inner self-care cost? Ultimately, what I've discovered is that it doesn't cost nearly as much in time as it does to not do the self-care. During my burnout, all I wanted to do was sleep or stare out the window or eat or just, whatever. I was not able to engage in any of the other work that I needed to do in my life or said I wanted to do. So when you're not doing that internal self-care, if you're not maintaining that, you won't have the energy to get your stuff done. So that's the beautiful thing. Even though it might seem like you're spending a lot of time on this self-care, ultimately what you're doing is you're providing yourself with more energy to get the things done in your life that you want to get done. And ultimately what I've noticed is that taking care of myself ends up saving me more time. So you may or may not know that my focus word for this year is freedom. And one of the things I've been sharing through these videos is how I'm learning about what freedom means to me. And regarding self-care, what I've come to understand is that if I don't take care of myself mentally and physically, or if I wait for someone outside of me to tell me that it's okay to take care of myself, I will end up in a prison of sorts. I felt the opposite of free when I was in the middle of career burnout. The mental and physical consequences of not doing the acts of self-care for myself was preventing me from living a full life. My self-care regimen now consists of intentional meditations, much more journal writing, much more internal reflection and gentle challenges to my thoughts and feelings. And of course, I do still do all of the other physical self-care that I was doing before. And you want to know what the most freeing act of self-care is? It's learning to say no when you mean it. Very often for me, I would say yes, out of a sense of needing to please other people or prevent them from being mad at me. But then I would resent having to take gigs or do things for other people that I didn't really want to do. Saying no to someone else is the most freeing act of self-care, because what you're really doing is you're saying yes to yourself. So I'd love to hear how this message resonates with you. Please like or share these videos with friends and family who would benefit from these topics. You can also stay in touch with what I'm offering by subscribing to my weekly email list. I deliver free resources, updates, and developments straight to your inbox. If you're ready to embark on some transitions in your life, consider setting up a free coaching session with me. You can sign up for that on my website, www.tess-miller.com. And you can also find me on Facebook under my business name, Wings Unfolded, or you can find me by name, Tess Miller, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Feel free to send me a private message. I'd love to connect with you. And remember that it's okay to be stuck, but you don't have to stay there. Have an awesome week and take care.